The unexamined life is not worth living. In the comfortable suburbs of Western nations, where basic needs are met and opportunities abound, millions grapple with a peculiar form of suffering. Not the suffering of poverty or war, but the suffering of emptiness. We live in the most prosperous era of human history, yet rates of depression, anxiety, and existential crisis continue to climb. This paradox reveals a profound truth that philosophers have wrestled with for millennia. Material abundance does not guarantee meaning, and progress does not equal purpose. Today, we embark on a journey through one of philosophy's most challenging territories, nihilism, the belief that life has no inherent meaning. But our exploration won't end in despair. Instead, we'll discover how confronting meaninglessness can become the very foundation for creating authentic purpose in our lives. He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. The journey into nihilistic thinking often begins with a single, devastating question: why? Why do we follow these rules? Why do we value what we value? Why does any of this matter? This three-letter word possesses the power to unravel the foundations of everything we believe. Consider the Reddit discussion from the original video. If forced to choose between saving your pet or a stranger, most people chose their pet. When questioned why a human life should be worth more than an animal's, few could provide a satisfactory answer. This illustrates nihilism's central challenge. Our moral intuitions feel real and important, yet we struggle to justify them rationally. The nihilist concludes that since we cannot adequately answer why, perhaps there is no why at all. God is dead, and we have killed him. Nietzsche's famous declaration wasn't about theology, it was about the collapse of absolute meaning structures in Western civilization. For centuries, religious frameworks provided clear answers to life's ultimate questions. Divine command gave moral weight to our choices. Afterlife beliefs provided ultimate justice, and cosmic purpose justified earthly suffering. But as scientific understanding expanded and religious authority declined, many found themselves in what Nietzsche called an existential vacuum. When traditional sources of meaning crumble, we're left standing in the ruins, holding fragments of beliefs we can no longer fully embrace. This isn't necessarily tragic. It's simply the human condition in a post-traditional world, where we must create rather than inherit our deepest convictions. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is perspective, not truth. Nihilism manifests in three distinct forms, each attacking a different pillar of human meaning. Political nihilism argues that all social structures, governments, laws, institutions, are arbitrary constructs that must be destroyed for humanity to achieve true freedom. Ethical nihilism rejects absolute moral values, claiming that concepts of good and evil are merely societal inventions with no objective reality. Existential nihilism, the most comprehensive form, declares that life itself has no inherent value, purpose, or meaning. Unlike pessimism, which sees the glass as half empty, or cynicism, which distrusts human motives, nihilism questions whether the glass, the water, or even the act of drinking has any significance at all. This isn't necessarily depression. It's a philosophical position about the nature of reality and value. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. Here lies nihilism's central paradox. To believe in nothing, you must believe in something, namely, the truth of nothingness. This logical contradiction reveals nihilism's limitation as a final philosophical position. If you commit to the idea that nothing matters, then that commitment itself matters, undermining the very principle you're defending. This paradox doesn't invalidate nihilism's insights, but it suggests that nihilism might be better understood as a process rather than a destination, a necessary deconstruction that clears space for authentic reconstruction. Like a forest fire that destroys old growth to make room for new life, nihilistic thinking can burn away inherited assumptions, creating fertile ground for personally chosen meanings. When we're no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. In the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, psychiatrist Viktor Frankl made a remarkable observation. Those who survived the unimaginable horrors were often not the physically strongest, but those who maintained a sense of meaning despite their circumstances. Even in humanity's darkest hour, when nihilism seemed not just reasonable, but inevitable, meaning proved to be life's most powerful sustaining force. Frankl's logotherapy emerged from this insight, the idea that humans are primarily motivated by the search for meaning rather than pleasure or power. His work demonstrates that meaning can be found even in suffering through three pathways: creative values, what we give to the world; experiential values, what we take from the world; and attitudinal values, the stance we take toward unavoidable suffering. This isn't denial of nihilism's challenges. It's evidence that meaning can be chosen even when it cannot be proven. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength. Long before modern existential crises, ancient Stoic philosophers grappled with questions of meaning and value in an uncertain universe. They developed a practical philosophy centered on four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control external events, we can always choose our response to them. This isn't passive resignation, but active engagement with life on its own terms. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his Meditations while campaigning on the Roman frontier, demonstrated that meaning emerges not from cosmic guarantees, but from disciplined character and virtuous action. The Stoic approach suggests that nihilism's challenge, the absence of inherent meaning, becomes an opportunity to create meaning through ethical living. When we're no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. In the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, psychiatrist Viktor Frankl made a remarkable observation. Those who survived the unimaginable horrors were often not the physically strongest, but those who maintained a sense of meaning despite their circumstances. Even in humanity's darkest hour, when nihilism seemed not just reasonable, but inevitable, meaning proved to be life's most powerful sustaining force. Frankl's logotherapy emerged from this insight, the idea that humans are primarily motivated by the search for meaning rather than pleasure or power. His work demonstrates that meaning can be found even in suffering through three pathways: creative values, what we give to the world; experiential values, what we take from the world; and attitudinal values, the stance we take toward unavoidable suffering. This isn't denial of nihilism's challenges. It's evidence that meaning can be chosen even when it cannot be proven. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength. Long before modern existential crises, ancient Stoic philosophers grappled with questions of meaning and value in an uncertain universe. They developed a practical philosophy centered on four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control external events, we can always choose our response to them. This isn't passive resignation, but active engagement with life on its own terms. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his Meditations while campaigning on the Roman frontier, demonstrated that meaning emerges not from cosmic guarantees, but from disciplined character and virtuous action. The Stoic approach suggests that nihilism's challenge, the absence of inherent meaning, becomes an opportunity to create meaning through ethical living. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Buddhism offers another ancient response to meaninglessness through its four noble truths. Life contains suffering, dukkha. Suffering arises from attachment and craving. Suffering can end, and there is a path to end suffering. This isn't pessimism, but practical psychology, acknowledging life's inherent challenges while providing tools for transcendence. The Buddhist approach to nihilism is uniquely sophisticated. It agrees that seeking permanent satisfaction in an impermanent world leads to suffering, but rather than concluding that nothing matters, it points toward liberation through non-attachment. By releasing our desperate grip on outcomes, we can engage fully with life while remaining free from the anxiety that comes from demanding certainty in an uncertain world. Happiness is not a destination, it is a way of life. Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia, often translated as happiness but better understood as flourishing, offers another response to nihilistic emptiness. Rather than seeking meaning in cosmic purpose or divine command, Aristotle grounds human fulfillment in the excellent performance of our distinctive capacities as rational, social beings. Eudaimonia emerges from virtue, not moral rules imposed from outside, but excellences of character that enable human flourishing. A person achieves meaning not by discovering some pre-existing purpose, but by developing wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice in their daily actions. This approach sidesteps nihilism's challenge by locating meaning not in abstract metaphysics, but in concrete human excellence. The struggle itself, toward the heights, is enough to fill a man's heart. Albert Camus faced nihilism's challenge head-on through his philosophy of the absurd. He agreed that the universe is silent about ultimate meaning, that there's a fundamental disconnect between human need for purpose and reality's indifference to that need. But rather than succumbing to despair, Camus advocated for revolt, a passionate engagement with life despite its absurdity. Camus used the myth of Sisyphus, condemned to push a boulder up a mountain for eternity, as a metaphor for the human condition. The key insight is that we must imagine Sisyphus happy, finding meaning in the struggle itself, rather than in achieving some final goal. This transforms nihilism from a dead end into a starting point. If nothing is given meaning, then we are free to create our own meaning through authentic living. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Today's response to nihilistic emptiness involves neither denial nor despair, but active meaning creation. Research in positive psychology confirms what philosophers have long suspected. Humans can cultivate meaning through relationships, personal growth, contribution to causes larger than themselves, and the pursuit of excellence. The key insight is that meaning doesn't need to be discovered. It can be constructed. This isn't self-deception, but mature acceptance of human responsibility. When we recognize that we're the authors of our own significance, we can write stories worth living. This might involve dedicating ourselves to family, pursuing creative expression, fighting for justice, developing our capabilities, or serving others. The specific content matters less than the authentic commitment. What does not kill me makes me stronger. The journey through nihilism need not end in emptiness. It can culminate in authentic freedom. When we've examined our deepest beliefs and found them wanting, when we've stared into the void and acknowledged its reality, we stand at a crucial crossroads. We can remain paralyzed by meaninglessness, or we can use that very meaninglessness as raw material for meaning-making. This is nihilism's unexpected gift. By stripping away inherited certainties, it clears space for personally chosen commitments. The person who has wrestled with ultimate questions and emerged with self-created values possesses a kind of authenticity impossible for those who never question their foundations. Like Nietzsche's Übermensch, they have moved beyond good and evil as given categories to become creators of their own values. Those who have a why to live can bear with almost anyhow. We began this journey in the comfortable void of modern Western life, where material abundance coexists with spiritual emptiness. We've explored how nihilistic thoughts emerge from honest questioning, examined the philosophical challenges they raise, and discovered how some of history's greatest thinkers have responded to meaninglessness. The plain truth is this: nihilism correctly identifies the absence of pre-given, cosmic meaning. But this absence isn't a tragedy, it's an opportunity. When we accept responsibility for creating rather than discovering meaning, we transform from passive recipients of inherited purpose into active authors of our own significance. The path forward requires courage. Courage to face uncertainty without flinching, to choose commitments without guarantees, to act with integrity despite cosmic silence. Whether through Stoic virtue, Buddhist liberation, Aristotelian flourishing, or Camusian revolt, the response to meaninglessness is not more analysis but authentic action. Your life may not matter in some ultimate, cosmic sense, but it matters because you choose to make it matter. And in a universe that offers no inherent meaning, that act of choosing becomes the most meaningful act of all.